Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is
Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch.
Happy New Year, longtime listeners. Happy New Year, Shades.
Belated New Year.
Depends when they're listening.
Yeah, really.
Really, it depends when you're listening.
Yeah.
But no matter what, the year's new to you.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Sketch.
Guys, every time you join us in a different corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. We set up our GoCo.
Longtime listeners, we have
just
traveled
geek out.
time, space, universe, GoCo.
Not hastily.
Not hastily.
We have
There's
ample
no
time
urgency,
for this one.
But, we're in a...
All the time in the world.
Yeah, ooh, I like that.
I like that. You like that?
But it's feeling a little dystopian.
It's hot. Hot. We are set up in a steel mill.
Abandoned LA steel mill.
Abandoned, but recently abandoned. Everything's running. It's hot. And there's just a bit of a skirmish.
A little tussle, if
A
you
little
will.
tussle. Tussle's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But you might be thinking, oh, steel mill. What, Detroit?
Yeah.
LA steel mill.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Mid 90s. Early 90s.
92.
So if we are in a steel mill
91.
in
1991.
1991, recently evacuated,
yes.
We must
The
be
iron is still
hot. It's still hot.
We are striking.
We must be talking about Terminator. Come with us if you want to live.
We'll be back.
Do we have
specifically?
Oh yeah.
Specifically,
There's been a lot of Terminators.
There have been 6 Terminators, and we are specifically talking the Terminator Trilogy of 1, 2, 6. Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh shit. I thought it was 4 movies.
Oh no.
I thought it was Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yes.
Terminator 6, Dark Fate, and Hamilton. It made no sense. What you said we were doing the Hamilton Terminators.
No, Linda Hamilton sketch.
I'm going to have to change some of my notes here.
Hey. Wait. Is that Lin-Manuel Miranda? He wants to be in the room. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, you took your shot. If we're talking Terminator, the Linda Hamilton trilogy, do we have a theme song?
I believe we do, sketch.
Iconic theme song.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Love it. Yeah, so guys, we're gonna spoil Terminator, but again, we're sticking with
if you want to hear
1,
us,
2, and 6.
If you want to hear us talk Terminator Salvation, Terminator 3,
Terminator 3, which was just Terminator 3,
just Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, and Terminator Genesis,
and you're shit out of luck. Just
head
kidding.
over to our Patreon for a little off mic on mic.
Did we actually do all 6 movies? We did.
We did.
It's too much to talk about in an episode. So we're following the story of Sarah Connor specifically.
Yes.
We're following Linda Hamilton, and Linda Hamilton is not in 3. 4.
She does an uncredited voiceover in 4.
Sure.
And is not in Genesis.
And not in Genesis. Sarah Connor is
in Genesis,
but it's not Linda Hamilton.
Not Linda Hamilton.
We're sticking with the Linda Hamilton.
And you may also be familiar with Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles on Fox.
How do you not just call it the Sarah Chronicles? Connorcles. If you don't put the R in, then you get a bunch of cones.
Yeah.
I guess I just answered my first big question.
I think you did.
Yeah.
We did not watch the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
But be warned, we're not going to be talking about those 3 middle movies, but you never know what's going to slip. So if you're like really dead set about watching those first, pause. Who knows?
Watch all 6.
Who knows? Something might slip. I don't know.
And and maybe one of those is your
favorite Terminator.
Yeah. So you can hear that over on our.
Let's just answer this question right now.
Yeah.
Is one of those your favorite Terminator?
No.
One of those is not my favorite Terminator either. So
long time listeners,
we're in luck.
Right in.
Yeah. So Shades, our personal histories, as we like to do.
Personal history with Terminator.
With Terminator.
So interestingly enough, my first experience with Terminator was T2.
Okay. Same with me, actually.
Okay. And I don't know where I saw it. Might have been on television.
Same with me.
So it was heavily edited. But I remember when I think my uncle told me that this was the second, like, so when someone said Terminator, my only knowledge was T2.
Yeah.
Not realizing it was a sequel. I was a child. And my uncle was telling me about the first movie. I could not wrap my head around that the Terminator was the villain of the first movie. I just could not, like, wait, what do you mean? It's the same it's Arnold. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and but he's the villain. It's a tumor. It's not tumor. There'll be probably a lot of that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governator himself, does not fit in the GoCo recording studio.
He keeps up that stature.
He does.
You know what? Only because I don't think there's any other natural place in this episode to say it. Like, I was thinking of how amazing that reveal must have been in T2. Like, if I had seen it in theaters, because he shows up, and you're like, yeah, I've seen T1. I've seen Terminator 1.
I know what's going to happen here.
He's trying to kill John Connor, and the T-1000 shows up and takes on the appearance of a cop,
police officer,
and is pleasant and is good at talking to people, and you're like, okay, so this is going to be the ones protecting him, and Arnold's going to be the ones trying to kill him again.
Right.
To get that
flip,
that reveal that no, Arnold's the protector, it must have blown people's minds.
I watched all three of these with Elise.
Yeah.
And it was immediately she was like, is that a Terminator? The T-1000 is like, is that a Terminator? Is it a good Terminator? Because you don't know what he is until that.
Yeah, and I went back and I watched trailers. I was like, was this that era where they give it all away in the trailers? No, they didn't.
It was not.
They said one sent back to protect, one sent back to terminate.
To terminate. So and it, kudos to the film. It's a great reveal, and it still holds up.
Yeah, I wish I had that experience of
me too.
Watching it.
I really do wish I had that reveal, and it was really great to be sitting next to Elise, and she's asking me questions like, "Do you want me to ruin this?" Yeah, no. I'm like, "No, like just watch." And it was so well executed.
This is a movie too that if someone told me, "No, yeah, well, go ahead and ruin it, spoil it for me," I wouldn't.
I would, agree.
I'm not taking that away from you.
I mean, I'm gonna just come right out and say I think Terminator 2 is the greatest sequel of all time. That's where I stand.
Yeah, I agree. Out of all sequels I've seen,
right?
Yeah,
all time
best sequel of all time.
It's a bold statement.
Sure,
bold statement. So I saw Terminator 2 first, and then it was years before I saw Terminator.
Our history is oddly matching up a lot on this one.
I feel like college, maybe.
Yeah,
or like
sounds about right.
Junior or senior year high school. It was just never something that I
went. There was a big gap for me.
Yeah, it was a huge gap, and I went. My trajectory with movies was like screwball comedy, horror, action movie. So I didn't really have like a desire to see Terminator until I like really started to appreciate like the finer points of film and indie film. And I was like, yeah, I need to watch this.
Yeah.
I think I watched it when Terminator 3 came out. I was like, I should just start over, watch Terminator 2, and then Terminator 3 and see how this thing is going to end. Silly me.
You know what?
How it's going to end.
I think for me, Terminator 3 was a theater movie. I think that's when I was working at the theater. And Terminator 3 might have been my first
2003. Terminator 3.
It was either, I was still working there. I still had my connections there. And I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. So a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
To be my first. That. I understood enough, like the plot. I've probably seen bits of 2 on TV before, so I like understood it enough to get what was going on.
Yeah.
But definitely a rough place to start, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that would be such a
downer.
Oh, that would be a hard one to come in on.
And I think that's why I was like, maybe Terminator just aren't for me.
Just not for you.
Yeah. So similar to you, it must have been high school where I saw parts of Terminator 2 on television. It wasn't until after 3 that I saw 1.
Wow. Okay.
And that was it. I never saw any of the others, probably because of 3.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, never mind.
3's rough, guys.
3's rough. But we're not talking about 3 in this episode.
No, not in this episode.
And then for the pod, like I sat down and I like watched them one after the other as
and
full,
I said I gave you the
not
out
on TV.
Yeah, I gave you the out. It was like, we don't have to. Let's not and you decide. You were like, no, I'm gonna watch them all.
I wanted to. Yeah. I legitimately want, and I don't regret it.
Yeah,
I don't regret now have seen all 6. I was so, especially off of 2.
Right,
I'm
you were all
so in. Like, oh, I want to see more Terminator.
Right. And you were like,
and then you know what it is? It's like 3 kind of digs a big hole.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like, you can only go up.
Right.
And so like, how do they get themselves out of this hole?
Spoilers.
Kind of a thing before we saw 6.
They don't.
So, I didn't mean to like take over your history. It's just odd that it.
Yeah.
We don't normally have a very similar history.
Usually I've seen something as a child, it's beloved, and you're like, I saw this last night.
Yeah. And I assume that's what was going to happen with this one.
No. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
This is the property that we mirror.
Yeah. So
and
now
then,
all 6?
Yeah. And then Terminator 3, I also saw in theaters. Mm-hmm. So 2003, that's college for us.
Yep.
Don't know when I would have seen that, but I definitely saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I might have gone by myself. There was like this strange error where I just went to like the midnight showing of movies by myself.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
That was a thing I liked to do.
That was one of my favorite things about actually working at the theater, because they were free.
Yeah.
And I could go so plentifully. It took like the whole stigma for me of going to the theater like by myself of the situation. I was just like, oh, this
going
is fun.
To a super late show and just like sitting in the theater by myself.
Yeah.
Or like with like 4 other people.
Yeah.
That was such a thing for me.
Just like Michael Crichton did with the Congo.
He was actually 2 seats over from me.
Is there a monkey in this movie?
Why are you sitting so close to me? It's an empty theater.
Don't sit so close to me.
Is a stand?
Yeah, but
okay. I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not the music guy.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then Terminator Salvation, I don't know. I remember that coming out, and there was the Christian Bale controversy where he like screamed at like a set guy who was like,
I want you off the fucking set, you prick.
I'm sorry.
No, don't just be sorry. Think for 1 fucking second. The fuck are you doing? Are you professional or not?
Yes, I am.
Do I fucking walk around and rip that? No, shut the fuck up, Bruce. Do I want? No! No! Don't shut me up. Am I gonna walk around and rip your fucking lights down in the middle of a scene? Then why the fuck are you walking right through? Like this in the background. What the fuck is it with you? You got any fucking idea about, hey, it's fucking distracting having somebody walking up behind Bryce in the middle of the fucking scene? Give me a fucking answer.
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good, because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur. McGee, you got fucking something to say to this prick? I'm trying to fucking do a scene here, and I'm going, why the fuck is Shane walking in there? What is he doing there? Do you understand my mind is not in the scene if you're doing that? Right, let's go again. Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again! I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass. You know, shut up for a second, all right? I'm gonna go. Do you want me to go fucking trash your lights? Do you want me to fucking trash them? Then why are you trashing my scene?
I'm not trying to trash.
You are trashing my scene. You do it one more fucking time, and I ain't walking on this set if you're still hired. I'm fucking serious.
That was what the story for Terminator Salvation was about. Did not see that one in theaters.
Did you ever notice that if someone has to exclaim that they're trying to be professional, it's because it's hard to tell that they're trying to be professional?
Yeah, exactly. I just remember Christian Bale sounding like such a child in that exchange.
Okay.
And kind of turned me off on Christian Bale.
And that one came out like 2009.
Yeah, it's between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Or it's just after Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's
very
close
he's still
to
doing his Batman voice.
He is still doing it. Yes, very much so.
Very much so.
Doing his Batman voice. And then Terminator Genesis, I watched in a hotel room in New York on my iPad.
Yeah, that's really what the filmmakers wanted. That was the true experience they were hoping for.
And I remember it was so close to the release of the movie. I was like, oh, Terminator Genesis is on Hulu. I'm going to watch it on my iPad.
Nice.
And so the Sarah Connor Chronicles came out between Salvation and Genesis.
Okay. Did you watch that?
I watched a couple of episodes here and there, and I was like, this makes no sense.
Was it Linda Hamilton?
No. Okay. I don't remember who it is. It's like a slightly older John, a slightly older Sarah, and River Tam from Firefly. Summer Glau.
Okay.
Plays the Terminator.
I remember. I didn't see it. I remember that casting now.
Yeah. And I just remember they jumped through time all over the place.
Oof.
And I was like, that's not how Terminator works. It's not a two-way trip.
Yeah.
That breaks the time. I remember like watching an episode and they jumped through time and I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
How about, and then Terminator Dark Fate, I was very excited for. We'll talk a little bit about that, I think. That James Cameron was back in a capacity and Linda Hamilton was coming back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's such a hole in those movies without her.
Oh, it's a huge hole without her.
I was so excited, and I didn't see it in theaters, but again, that was another, it's on Hulu, so I will watch it.
Wow.
Didn't see it in theaters. I don't think it was in theaters very long.
It was 2019.
That's what I mean. I feel like it had just come out, and I didn't see it in theaters.
I don't remember.
I don't remember anything pre 2020. Sketch. How about your history with those later movies?
All of them were binged for this podcast.
Were you aware of them?
I was aware. I don't think I was even aware of Salvation. I was aware of Genesis because Khaleesi's in it, and Matt Smith.
Matt
Smith was gonna.
Matt Smith left Doctor Who to do Terminator.
Oops.
Yeah. I know, right?
And then I think I was where 6 came out, but by that point I was like, okay, they're not for me. So I don't care too much. But now, watching them as they were intended to be watched, I'm like, oh, they are for me.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
The Sarah Connor ones.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
1, 2, 6.
I think if I had recognized more, if I had paid attention closer to realize like, oh, Linda Hamilton is back as Sarah Connor, I would have actually been excited. I didn't pay close enough attention to even understand that's what was going to be occurring in Dark Fate. So yeah, so 3 through 6 were all recent watches for me.
Cool.
And of course, I watched 1 and 2 like fresh.
Right.
And
you started from the beginning, went all the way through. Completionist. Sketch
with the missus, because she really likes the first 2 Terminators, so she was in on the journey with me.
Interesting. Elise had never seen any of them. I was like, I have this running like you and I fell into this, the Wonder Woman trope of there's never been a movie like this before. That's to a certain extent true. Mm-hmm. It is revolutionary in a comic book movie, putting a woman front and center in that way. But in terms of like strong, like hero's journey, like women on screen, we kind of have this back and forth, like, oh, like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? There was this, there was that. And so I was like, if you liked Wonder Woman, you would really like Terminator. Mm-hmm. And they just came out with Terminator 6. I haven't seen it, and we should watch it. So that was the 1, 2, 6 suggestion. Was Elise and I had watched 1 and 2, and we're gonna watch 6.
Yeah,
and she loved it. I mean, devoured it.
And we'll get there in Rants and Raves, but that's why I like how we're breaking it down to these three, because to me, and I think to a lot of people, Sarah Connor is
yes.
Like, John Connor is the hero we're told about of a future that we don't see as the audience, but like, we're the watchers of the events going on, quote unquote, now.
Right.
And that's Sarah Connor's story.
Well, I think that's the problem with, like, James Cameron, love him, hate him, whatever your take is on James Cameron. James Cameron can craft a story.
Oh, yeah.
He is an amazing storyteller. It's not always executed well, and he has a very grand vision. And people latched on to the wrong thing with Terminator. It's always premised as like John's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because that's what the movie tells you.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you actually pay attention to the story, it's only all possible because of Sarah and who she is. It's always Sarah's story.
Exactly.
Whether Sarah knows it or not, or whether the movie is telling you it is or not.
Yeah.
Right on through Dark Fate, Sarah is the crux.
Yeah, no, they
and later filmmakers were like, okay, John's the leader of the resistance, and so like we
gotta watch.
It's all about John.
No.
And it's like, we gotta save John.
No, that's not what we want.
We gotta say no. John is inconsequential,
and I think that
dangerously close to raving about this.
And I think that's what audiences picked up on.
Yeah,
it was that, like, you know what? There's a reason why in 1 and 2 we don't focus on that.
Right.
Because, like you said, that's not what the story's about.
Right.
That's what the future is telling us it's about, but we're not in the future.
But the future's not written. It's a possible future.
Yeah. Well, I got some big questions about that later
me too.
But so yeah, I mean, as the moviegoers, as the audience, it's easy to see that Sarah Connor is the salvation of humanity.
Yes.
No question. There's no question. That's not up for debate. That's just a fact.
And that's a big question for me that I will ask now, but also ask in big questions. How did later filmmakers miss that?
Yeah, how do you miss that?
How do you get the keys to the car?
Yeah.
And not realize who the central character of the story is.
I don't know. I don't know.
And I ponder it, Sketch, because like that's my question. It's like you open the garage, the car is sitting there, and it's like you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this piece of shit. I guess all right. It's what I've got. I'll drive. And it's like you think it's like this old broken down honker, but it's like a 1967 Corvette Stingray.
Yeah. You don't know what you got.
You don't know what you got.
You don't know what you got. Yeah, and
you don't know how to you don't know how to use it. You don't know how to drive it.
Yeah. Should we talk
let's do history of Terminator? Sure.
Specifically these.
During the release of Piranha 2.
Oh, okay. I'm putting myself back to the days of
Piranha 2. The Spawning. Director James Cameron fell ill in Italy and had a fever dream about a metallic half-torso creature holding a kitchen knife and dragging itself from an explosion.
Fever dream, huh? Okay.
That is the official story. Inspired by the movies of John Carpenter, Cameron wrote a low-budget slasher film.
Mm-hmm.
His agent begged him to do something else.
Okay.
Cameron fired him.
I was going to say, that agent is now without a job.
Partnering with Randall Frakes and Bill Wisher, the initial outline of the Terminator was created with 2 Terminators sent to the past, the first one like the Terminator in the film, and the second from an indestructible liquid metal.
Oh, wow. We're already laying the groundwork.
Cameron sold the rights to Gale Ann Hurd of New World Media for $1 on the condition that the film would not move forward into production unless he was attached as the director.
Wow. He feels strongly about this fever dream.
Yep. Arnold Schwarzenegger was originally considered because they wanted a big budget name, and he had just done or was doing Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
So Arnold is already established, and they want a big budget name that audiences are familiar with. And he was originally pursued for and cast as Kyle Reese.
Oh, interesting.
With Sylvester Stallone or Mel Gibson being pursued for the Terminator.
Very interesting.
Both of whom turned down the role. Which is hilarious because in Last Action Hero, there's a poster of Stallone playing the Terminator in the movie world.
Oh boy.
And the kid's like, this isn't right. And Arnold's like, what? He was fantastic in that movie. What are you talking about? Yeah. The film then moved on to cast O.J. Simpson as the Terminator.
Interesting.
But Cameron vetoed the casting, saying, quote, he didn't think OJ was believable as a killer. Unquote, I am not making that up.
That is something. Exhibit A. I mean, that's the whole defense, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Cameron was dead set against Arnold as Reese and devised a plan to pick a fight with him in a meeting to avoid casting Arnold. But the two got on so well, and he was so entertained by Arnold musing about the villain and how he should be played that Cameron decided that rather than Reese, he would make an amazing Terminator, saying
strong agree.
There was just something about his presence, physicality, and even the way he spoke that just clicked. And he asked Arnold to stop talking and began sketching him in the leather and sunglasses. And that's how that emerged.
That's awesome.
And the two have been fast friends and remain friends to this day. Side note, Cameron refused to come on to Terminator Dark Fate because they didn't want Arnold as the Terminator.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were going to do Terminator 6 without him. And Cameron was like, look, if I'm going to be a part of this and we're going to do this, we have to have him.
For a matching set.
Yeah. Right, so Arnold's the Terminator. Everyone thought T1 was just another B action movie. Arnold said, quote, he was asked on another set about a pair of boots. And he said, quote, those are from just some shit movie that I'm making.
Nice.
Linda Hamilton didn't think anything of the first movie while they were filming it. But after seeing a cut of the first 20 minutes, all knew they were onto something big.
Yeah.
Treat Williams, Tommy Lee Jones, Mel Gibson, Christopher Reeves, Matt Dillon, Kurt Russell, Scott Glenn, and Bruce Springsteen were all considered and read for the role of Reese.
Wow.
With only Michael Biehn playing the character as approachable and sensitive. Everybody else did their tough guy. And he was immediately cast on his reading. A sequel was planned immediately, but hindered by the limitations of the technology and a rights dispute between two studios that was not resolved until 1990.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a big gap. It's 84 to 91.
And apparently it was finally resolved with Arnold going to one of the producers and saying, I want to do this. Linda wants to do it. James wants to do it. Just put up the money and buy the studio to get the rights.
Wow.
It's like and I don't know if that's apocryphal, but they couldn't get the company to sell the rights, their 50% of Terminator. So it was just buy the production company. And they did. And
the rest
is history. Terminator 2 was the biggest movie with a 4th of July.
Ooh, it's a summer blockbuster.
It's a summer blockbuster release. Terminator 6 Dark Fate is a sequel to both Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Terminator 5 Terminator Genesis. It is the middle part of a sequel reboot trilogy.
God, this is getting tough.
It's getting as tough as the timeline of Terminator.
Okay.
So it is a.
So this movie exists. 6 Dark Fate exists as if 2 and 5 are canonically.
Yes.
Mutually, they coexist.
They coexist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have a big question about that.
Yes.
And we're not talking Terminator 5, so
Terminator 5.
We might have to. That might come up in the off mic on mic.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Miller was brought on to. So Terminator 5 did well, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
And so Skydance Productions, which had secured the rights to produce future Terminator movies, was like, oh boy, like we're in the middle of our trilogy.
Yeah.
But we have to reboot our reboot.
Yeah. Probably. It's not a good place to be in.
It's not. And so they brought on Tim Miller to direct. He's attached in 2017, and Miller convinced an all-star. He convened an all-star team to rework how to reinvent the franchise. Because 3, 4, and 5 were so poorly received. They came up with a few working pieces, and this team requested James Cameron to join, and Miller himself said, like, the only way we're going to do this is if Cameron comes on board. They worked on a script through 2017 and 2018. Cameron took a drastically different approach to the movie, coming into conflict frequently with Tim Miller.
Wow.
They remain friendly, but both have agreed not to work together in the future.
That's fair.
And I get that. Like, James Cameron is kind of brought on ceremoniously to, like, hey, we're going in the right direction. James Cameron is back. But then once Cameron was back, he did some script doctoring, but then kind of used his power and influence as James Cameron to be like, that's not the direction we should be going in. Let's do this. So I get Tim Miller's frustration, but I will also say Tim Miller doesn't seem like a director that plays nice with people, famously coming into conflict with Ryan Reynolds on Deadpool 2 and leaving the project.
And also, devil's advocate here, if you're bringing James Cameron in, at least on paper, to help
fix the movie, or fix the IP,
and then he says, "Here's
what we should
do to fix it." Like, that's why you got it. That's why you got him here. How smart? Well, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
How smart is it to bring in the quote unquote expert and then go, no, shut up,
shut up. Yeah. We don't want to do that. Yeah. And it seems like Skydance in the studio sided with Cameron over Miller.
Yeah. Smart.
There were a lot of elements to the there is a director's cut coming.
Oh, I'll watch that.
The Tim Miller cut.
Oh, I'll still watch it just to be
completionist.
Just see the difference.
Yeah.
All right.
So that is.
It's quite the history.
Hey, Sketch, you know what I didn't grab for Terminator?
Oh, sick.
I did not grab how much they made.
All right, they made just a shitload of money.
They all made a shitload of money, but I will say Terminator 6 made the least amount of Terminator movies. And I attribute that to
Terminator fatigue.
Terminator fatigue and so many missteps.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 Chronicles. I think people are done giving Terminator a chance.
Every time you're going to lose more people.
Right.
Every time you're going to say, oh, nah, I don't need to go back. It's like what I did after 3.
Yeah.
And each after 4, after 5, I'm sure there are other people like me.
Okay, Sketch. The all-important internet scores.
All-important internet scores.
IMDb gives Terminator an 8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 100% certified fresh.
Wait. Critic score?
Yeah. Fan score, 89%.
Okay.
Metacritic, an 84% fan score. Not enough fan scores for the first Terminator to give it a metric. Google, 93% of Google reviewers love Terminator, and I gave Terminator an 85.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Gave it a 91.
Oh, okay.
I put it in the 90s, even though it's an 80s movie.
Yep.
It's too well crafted for me to go into the 80s.
It was, and I would have scored it higher, I think, if some of the practical effects had held up better.
Oh, yeah. Some of the practical effects do not hold, like...
And like, a lot of the future stuff just did not...
Sure. Didn't hit.
Like,
we'll get there. You don't have to defend it yet.
Yeah. Well, a big thing for me was, like, the blue light special light on top of like the big harvester machine.
Mhm.
That was just like, that was comical.
I guess
It was like, who outfitted that? It was like a flashing blue gumball light on top of it.
And it said Jansport.
Terminator 2, IMDb, an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, critic score 93%, fan score 94.
Okay.
Metacritic gave Terminator 2 a 75%. I think that's your first strike, Metacritic.
You're on thin ice, Metacritic.
Fan score is a 90. 95% of Google reviewers love Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I gave it a 100.
I also gave it a 100.
I love Terminator 2.
Yeah. Is this our first double 100?
I think it's our double 100.
I also
yeah.
gave it a solid 100. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say to that. It gets 100% for me.
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 6 Dark Fate, IMDb, a 6.2. Rotten Tomatoes, critic score 70%, fan score 82%. Metacritic gave it a 54 critic rating and 39 fan rating. 81% of Google reviewers love this movie. I gave it a 90.
I gave it a 91.
Hey,
It's the same, and I will say this. For me, Terminator 1,
yep.
91. Terminator 6, 91. Different 91s.
Yes.
The math worked out to the same 91,
right,
but for different reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. So my combined Terminator rating is a 92.
And mine is a 95.
Hey, there you go.
Because I got, very good. Terminator's effing good.
It's so good.
So good. Should we start with raves? I mean,
Sure.
I'm feeling like it's going to be raves for
Raves for
days.
days.
I have a lot, so I don't know who you want to start with. But
Why don't you go first?
okay. The writing is
so
tight.
fucking good.
It's so good.
It's so much better than it needs to be. That's my very first rave.
And it's this the whole premise of it is so cool. You know, this whole coming back from the future to either alter the past or protect the past, whatever side you're on. It easily could have been something. It easily could have been a rant where it's like, this is so fucking like hard to follow, and stuff like that. And it is difficult to follow, but in a really fun way. Like it's fun to go down that rabbit hole and to think, okay, for them to send the Terminator back, John Connor had to survive in the first place to be able to do this. Which, and then you could just keep working
going
your
down
way
that rabbit,
and it's in a really fun way.
It has to not be going well for the Terminators,
right?
That they're inventing this technology
to go back
in time.
Yeah, they're on the ropes.
Yeah,
they're on the ropes,
and they shouldn't be, and they're scared.
Yeah,
which then you're like, well, wait, the machines are scared.
Yeah, it's okay. That peppers into my next rave
go
if
for
I
it,
can, because I can't not talk. And maybe I'm looking too far into this movie. I don't know. But this duality between man and machine.
Yeah.
Where as soon as intelligence is introduced to the point where you understand your mortality.
Right.
Regardless of you are man or machine, as soon as you are aware of your mortality, you start putting into place the events that are going to eventually bring your own demise.
Yes.
And both the humans and the machines in this movie,
they
mirror each other.
The machines are no better than the humans.
No. It's so easy to look at the humans in this being like, yeah, look, they destroyed themselves.
Right.
Humans. But the machines destroyed themselves too.
Right.
There would be none of this time travel if the machines didn't develop the time travel. John Connor and his ragtag group of resistance fighters ain't building no time machine out of soup cans and old Volkswagens.
Yeah.
They're relying on the fact that
I think one of them was El Camino.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're relying on the fact that the machines,
the Terminators, are going to create the weapon of their own demise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what humanity did when they created the Terminators.
Exactly.
And it's that same thing as our beloved, blessed Jeff Goldblum says in Jurassic Park.
Life finds a way.
God creates man.
Oh yeah.
Man destroys God. Man creates a dinosaur. Dinosaur destroys man.
Eats man. Women inherit the earth.
And it's the same thing in this. Man makes machine.
Right.
Machine destroys man. Machine fears man. Machine destroys itself.
Yep.
And I loved that. The machine, it's that calculating, cold rationality that both the humans had and the machines had that ultimately led to each of their own demise.
They're both just crunching the numbers.
Yeah. And both of them takes out that, and I'll quote it here, quoting that human element.
Right.
Which even the Terminators, even Arnie's Terminator starts developing that human element, which...
Well, I mean, they say it in Terminator 6. You grew a conscience? Yeah. You grew, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I just loved that. I just thought that was so smart. It's so fun for me to just think about.
Yeah.
And that's tied with the premise and how tightly and smartly this is written. That
I agree, Sketch.
That you're really watching two sides of the same coin.
Yep. It's so much better than it needs to be.
It's so much better than it needs to be.
You know, just to go back, it so mirrors my first rave. It's a world populated by dynamic characters. Mm-hmm. Like even the machines, even Skynet.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get there.
We'll get there though on Skynet.
Long-time listeners. That, you know, the characters grow and change both on and off screen, mm-hmm. which is so rare. And like, you're Star Wars kids. I love Star Wars. Mm-hmm. One of the big complaints with Star Wars is that Luke is not a dynamic character. Yeah. He's the boy that ran away mm-hmm. right up until the end. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's arguable that he never changes until after he's dead. Mm-hmm. And a lot of movies are like that.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, like the movies that some of my favorite movies, they are unchanging characters. Mm-hmm. And then that, some people love that, but give me a character that goes on a journey and is forever changed and then shows up and goes on another journey and is forever changed in a new and different way. Mm-hmm. That's such a risk as a writer.
Oh,
it's such a risk for an established, like, multi-billion-dollar franchise. Mm-hmm. And it's directors, writers, their characters are their babies. So it's like, you don't want them to grow and change and become unfamiliar. But I will just say, James Cameron is a writer that, like, loves his characters, but also doesn't feel a sacredness about his characters. Yeah. Where he will, like, be a part of and even suggest things that are, like, would seem antithetical to the world that he has created. Mm-hmm. Sarah Connor from Terminator to Terminator 2, holy shit.
Oh my God. What?
When she shows back up on screen,
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. She commands that movie.
Yes, that is Linda Hamilton's movie. And, like, she goes from Valley Girl to Guerrilla Fighter to, like, Elise and I started referring to her as Han Yoda.
Okay.
In Terminator, so she goes from the novice mm-hmm. to the hero to the wiser, older guide.
Yeah.
And
it's very satisfying.
She goes from human to machine-like to just broken. Mm-hmm. And then hope, like, it's as a 64, 67-year-old actor to, like, be portraying hope at the end of that journey. Sarah is hopeful again. Yeah. That's mind-boggling. Like, you just don't see that in anything.
No.
And it's I mean, what
was excellent. And that's not a word that we use a lot.
Very rarely have we ever said something is excellent.
Excellent.
It really is. And it is not just excellent, it is excellence. Mm-hmm. And if this is the last Terminator, Dark Fate did not do well.
Yeah.
It is unlikely that there will be a Terminator 7.
Yeah.
If that's the note that Terminator goes out on, wow.
Yeah. Then
I attribute how poorly it did just to like Terminator fatigue and the missteps of 3, 4, 5 and the TV series.
It's hard to come back.
I think people have reached their saturation point.
Yep. Let me ask you this question. It's not really a big question, but it's been posed to me.
Okay.
Before. I've actually been surprised when I've told people, "Oh yeah, we're doing Terminator. It's so fucking good." A lot of people my age, I'm shocked by, have said, "I've never seen Terminator. Should I see it?" And I'm like, wow, okay,
wow.
And then it's made me think: should you see the whole thing? Should you see all 6? And this is what I've landed on.
Yeah,
this is the answer I've landed on. If you've never seen any Terminators, you owe it to yourself to watch 1 and 2.
Okay.
And if you're happy to end it at 2, I think 2 is an excellent ending to the story. If you have to watch more, like if you're like, oh, I have to know more, I have to watch 3, then you have to go all the way. You have to go all the way to 6 and end it with 6. I mean, you could skip those in the middle.
Yes.
But like, if you're gonna go any further after 2, it has to be, you have to end with 6, no matter how many you put in between.
If you're gonna watch 3 and 4, you can't tap out. You have to watch it. So
if someone has never
told
seen
people
them before,
watch 1, 2, 6.
Yeah. If you've never seen it before, I think the perfect experience would be 1 and 2.
Okay.
Just because we'll get there a little bit when we get to rents, but I love this idea that like 1 is all about, no, this is destined. Like Sarah,
right.
This is your destiny.
You can't change
is what
this.
we do. And 2 is all about fuck destiny.
Right.
We're gonna change this.
I make my own destiny.
And it ends on that. Like that's the message it ends on. And I love that. And then 3 is like, let's have fun with destiny and do some effing things. But
see, I disagree with that. Take
about
on
changing
6.
F. No, I said 3.
Oh, 3.
So I said if you're gonna, and so then it all gets all loose and everything.
Yeah, no. Terminator 3 is trash.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, it is.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm so surprised that they made a 4 after 3.
If you can just watch 1 and 2, I think it's a neat story that 2 does not end on a cliffhanger in a way that you feel I must know what happens next.
Right.
You can end 2 and go,
done.
Skynet's destroyed.
Yep.
Sarah saved John. Terminator did his sacrifice at the end. All my loose threads are taken care of, and I think that's very satisfying. But then if you are going to go further, no matter what you do, you have to end with 6. You have to.
I agree. And see, I would say that I think you and I come at film in a different way most of the time.
Oh yeah.
I think that like if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna watch Terminator, I think you need to end on 6.
Okay.
I think you need to end on 6 because there's a great line in Doctor Who during the Matt Smith era that's like I don't know the quote exactly, but he said I think it's close to his regeneration where he's like, we're all different people at different points in our lives, and that's okay. And like, so long as you don't forget the people that you used to be.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of that in 6. And I think it's a great message that even after your story ends, you can still have a purpose. And even after the story is no longer your story, you're still relevant and you still have a role to play and you still have value.
Yeah. There's not a lot of that these days.
There isn't a lot of that. And it's like when I think that's like, I think, not to bring it back to Star Wars, but I think that's the point that Mark Hamill was trying to make with when his initial reaction to Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Still
like,
talking about Last
I
Jedi.
categorically disagree to that. And that's what it is. The movie didn't respect, and not just Last Jedi, but this is a great example of it. The movie didn't respect the people that they used to be, and didn't think they had any intrinsic value to the story moving forward. And I think that's what people reacted to so violently.
Yeah.
And they are still struggling with that problem.
Because normally, and I feel like this is fading. I'm not trying to get philosophical.
Yeah.
We're not trying to. But like normally, that's not how we do things in the real world.
Right.
We don't kick people to the curb. Now,
exactly.
That might be art imitating life, imitating art. Like maybe that's starting to bleed into our culture a little more. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it should not be. And that's like great stories do imitate life, and that's not how life works.
Yeah.
That's just not how that life works.
And also the message that like experience has value.
Right.
And going through an experience like Sarah Connor did in 1 and 2 is very entertaining to watch.
Right.
It's very compelling, and we're very much in the now. But to ignore that, that would come in handy later.
Right.
It would be a giant misstep.
But also that the actions of Terminator 2 had consequences.
Yeah.
That it doesn't just reset the board and you go back to the way things were before the Terminators entered your life.
Yeah.
There are consequences to your actions. The ripple effect that it just doesn't go away and you live happily ever after. Like Sarah can't go back to the United States. She's a terrorist.
No, she is.
Her child...
She's wanted in all 50
states. Her child dies as a result of her actions.
Yeah. Now,
Skynet
is that one is John Connor...
Spoilers. That's my next rave.
Starts with child death in
Terminator 6. They killed John Connor in the first 10 minutes.
As a teenager. We're like back.
We're led to believe...
We're just slightly after.
Yeah.
It's like 98, I think.
Well, Sarah's still wearing her fatigues.
Yeah.
We're led to believe that this is like...
They made it clear that it
very
was
close.
after when Judgment Day was destined to happen.
Yes.
So that her guard was down.
Yep.
They did it. They won.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen Dark Fate, the issue is that Skynet, it's revealed, sent more than one Terminator back to kill.
It wasn't just a
John
T-1000.
Connor.
They sent a shit ton of Terminators.
And even though they destroyed Skynet, and then this is where it gets a little wibbly wobbly, and then
somebody
Skynet
else just created a different AI.
Right. But
Legion.
But the Terminator that kills John Connor is one of those remnants of the future in which Skynet did exist and take over the world, and its future was erased, but it still existed in the present, and it still had its directive to kill John Connor, and it finally fulfilled it, and blah 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 blah.
Right. I thought that was interesting too. That like after the Terminator,
bold choice. I thought that was such a bold choice.
Strong agree. I think it was the right choice. It's a rave. I agree. It was never John's story.
Yeah.
And I think like if they hadn't done that, there would always be this like we're missing the point. It was never John's story. John is only who he is because Sarah was who she was. That she had she was able to become the person who trained John, knowing that she was mere flesh and blood and would not be able to carry out the fight.
Yeah.
She had to make John into a leader.
And that's what's so fun about this tracing back of things.
Right.
Because it's like in Terminator 1, it's all like, oh, your son saves humanity. He's the leader of the resistance. And it's yes, but no.
Right.
If we never came,
Sarah's
if you never
the leader
came
of the
back,
resistance.
yeah, and if you never came back, and the Terminator never came back, and you just had a kid with somebody else, obviously, because spoilers, Kyle Reese is the father. That kid is not the savior of humanity. There's
only the savior of humanity because John
because of what Sarah witnesses in Terminator 1, and that sets her up to create more than just give birth to, but literally create and mold
John,
the savior of humanity.
And then does the same thing with Danny. Danny's not a fighter when she goes on this journey, and Sarah and Grace turn her into a fighter.
Yep. And it's that whole thing. It's that whole thing. It's the thing that's fun to keep spinning around and around and around. And if it wasn't done well, it would be a big rant because it would be so convoluted and it would be so like, I don't want to think like this. Just give me an answer.
Right.
But because it's crafted so well, it's fun to go, oh, okay, well, they created, if you think of Grace, right? Like, Grace is according to Grace's story, molded into who she is by Danny. And only that person would be the person to go back in time to save Danny.
Right.
And then Danny witnessing Grace.
Right.
Turns Danny into who eventually, it's all cyclical.
It's all cyclical. Yeah. And what's fun and interesting is that there's this Sarah at one point says, "You're John" to Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people didn't take that in the way it was intended. It's that she's the leader of the resistance, yes, but Danny is Sarah's bullet fired through time in the same way that John is.
Yeah, you're a chance to fight back.
Exactly. Like, I'm old. Yeah. I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
I like either time or a Terminator is gonna kill me.
Yeah. And I'd rather that than leukemia. Oh, that was rough.
Wow.
That was like a big FU.
Ooh, it really was.
Terminator 3. We're not talking Terminator 3.
We're not talking Terminator 3. But, when she says, "You're John," yes, John was her child, but John was her bullet fired through time.
And John was an idea.
Exactly. Danny's an idea. And when we meet Danny in the future, she is, for all intents and purposes, dead. They are dragging her in bandages through the whole movie. We don't know that she survived that attack.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember this. When we meet Danny in the future,
Grace is dragging her wrapped in bandages.
Huh, I don't remember that.
Like, did the commander survive? Yes, because of you.
Huh.
Is what they say.
I must have missed that was Danny.
Well, I mean, we don't.
Is this the attack? This is the attack where like things come down and they kind of have like tentacly kind of things. Okay.
But was already the mission was to recover the commander.
Yeah.
Who had already been injured, and they're wrapped in bandages, and we're led to believe that it's a man.
Oh yeah.
That it's.
Okay, so I'm getting.
We don't know who the commander is,
and then that's when Grace chooses to get all the cyber
and go back and save her.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And make her. Exactly. Not just save her, but.
Yep.
But it's fun to go around and around and just talk about it and like mull it over in your brain, in your processing unit, if you will. Yeah.
But I love that. I love that it ends still being Sarah's story and Danny's story. Like, Danny is her own person. She will grow and continue to change. But subsequent, those middle Terminators like throw Sarah away.
They absolutely do.
Unceremoniously.
I'm making a connection in my head, which is ridiculous. But we've talked Star Wars, so I'm going to throw this one out there.
Sure.
It's like the Cars trilogy. Doodle's really into the Cars movies,
okay.
So I watched the Cars trilogy. Have you seen any of them?
I've seen the first one.
I like the first one.
I like the first one.
Good. Second one, not so good.
Right.
Not so good.
And then didn't they also do planes?
They did. I haven't seen that. I'm only talking about the three Cars. The third movie. Okay, so guys, spoiler alert for Cars. Cars, Pixar's
Did you think
Cars.
we were going to talk Pixar's Cars?
But Cars. So Cars wants this really nice story about a race car who has to kind of learn from the past, even though he's so focused on the future. Blah 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 blah.
They are sentient living cars that drive themselves.
It's Skynet.
It's Skynet. Yeah.
Cars 2 is a spy thriller with MaidY.
Oh,
Who even cares?
did not see that coming.
No, then don't bother watching.
Is Lightning McQueen not in it?
He's in it, but he's more of a side character. He
Gotcha.
almost takes the role of MaidY in the first movie, who's more of a side character. So it focuses more on MaidY. Big misstep. We're not talking about this is in the Cars episode.
Okay.
But in the third movie, it is Lightning McQueen, and he's, unbeknownst to him, he's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Because now the next generation of race cars are coming out, and he just can't compete as much anymore.
Yeah.
And so, like, all of his friends are dropping out and stuff like that. But he's still going because he's stubborn, and he's still the best. He's still the best. And he starts, like, you know, Rusty's bumper ointment gets bought by this bigger company, and they start training him to be able to beat these new cars.
Oh.
And his trainer ends up being this car who she always wanted to be a race car, but, you know, she was told no, she couldn't be a race car. She's not technically a race car.
Yeah.
She's just a regular car, but she's very fast. And anyway, the whole movie is her trying to train Lightning to win, and in the race, Lightning finally like pulling out all stops, is finally in the lead. It takes a pit stop, and it's just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can. And like the team is like, you can do this because it's Disney and you're Lightning McQueen. And he has this moment of like, no, I don't think I can beat him, but you can. Like his coach, this young car who's always wanted to be a race car, and he's like, my career's done, but my job now is to start yours. You get out there.
Wow.
You finish this for me.
For a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Pixar is
deeper than
deeper than
kids movie.
but that's very deep.
And that's what Sarah Connor's doing in 6. She's going, I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
I'm not a machine.
Exactly.
I'm not going to last forever. But I see it in you. I see what you are. And my job now is not just get out of your way and let you do it. But my job now is take what I've learned, take all my experience, and give you access to it. Let me help you now.
Right.
Be the next. And so I've always said Sarah Connor and Lightning McQueen are kindred spirits. I mean, look back the catalog of the past episodes.
Did you think that's where we were going?
Did you think that's where we're going? But that's exactly
didn't.
what's happening in 6, and I only made that connection like right now as we're talking about it organically.
Strong agree sketch.
It's that idea of
I'm with you.
Of an older generation not bowing out. And I think there's a lot of people right now who are like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Your time's over.
Right.
You're a fool if you don't take their experience and their knowledge.
You're a fool if you don't take their knowledge and experience
into account moving forward.
You're also a fool if you don't take it and run with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so that's what 6 ends with, which is nice.
It is.
It was very nice.
I love that they killed John. I feel so bad for Edward Furlong, who didn't realize that's what they were going to do when they brought him back. But
was that really him?
Yeah. They brought him back and mapped his face to de-age him.
They like unaged him.
Yeah. I guess he had some lines that didn't make it into the movie, so he was a little surprised when he saw it. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was a little surprised. Whoops.
I'm going to take a rave.
Yeah,
because your Lightning McQueen went down a little rabbit hole, a good rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring it back.
I think it's a good connection.
I agree. Terminator 2, I think is the best sequel of all time, but particularly the contrast of Arnold's T-800 and Robert Patrick's T-1000 in the way that they, like, the casting, the way they fight, and the way they, just their construction. Arnold is just a sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
The T-800 is a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
The T-1000 is all about finesse.
Yeah, it's a scalpel.
Exactly. And I love that. And the way, like, how he runs and how, like, his weapon of choice is just to create blades.
Yeah.
He does use guns, but he would rather just create a blade, slit your throat, be done with it.
Right,
or
because
like
he can't create guns.
Right.
He has to use existing, more advanced machinery. But he can sure as hell make a very finely pointed blade.
And put it right through your skull.
Right, and it's very efficient.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's just so... Because subsequent Terminator 3, we're just going to make an even stronger T1000 that's even like, it's like animalistic.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's going to, and then we're going to make a T3000, and we're going to make a T5000, 7000, whatever the hell Matt Smith's was.
And the T6000. That's a dog.
That's a dog. And like,
that doesn't happen yet, guys. Don't worry.
The T1000 was so smart, and all other subsequent upgrades were stupid.
I will.
It was you said it best as like it's fan fiction. It's like the musings of a child.
3, 4, and 5 are like fan fiction of Terminator.
This Terminator's like they're gonna be able to create like a blaster out of their hand.
Yeah.
And this Terminator is gonna like their head's gonna do this thing. And then I will pivot. I will then just like tie it together with the Rev 9, which is the perfect combination of the T800
that's the one
and the T1000.
Yeah.
That it's the liquid. It's nimble, it's light, it's efficient, it's the scalpel and the sledgehammer.
Yeah. And
it makes so much sense that if you're going to like the next evolution of Terminator that's going to like do this is not like a transformer in the sense of like it's the next thing or the next attachment or the next version. It's going to marry those two concepts.
Oh, yeah.
Like the sledgehammer failed, the scalpel failed. Well, if you have
put a scalpel on a
sledgehammer and make them
surgery
independent of each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's different surgeries,
I know.
right?
It's a Swiss Army knife. He's a Swiss Army knife.
And that aspect of it that you had like this hulking, like heavy endoskeleton, but he could like it could throw the scalp like a knife could throw the liquid metal, and it could work independently.
Yeah,
was so cool and so
very
fun
cool
to watch.
It was the best, and again, it was the best robot since 2.
Yeah,
I stand by that. The T1000 in 2 is not only the best villain in Terminator, but one of the best villains in movies. Like,
I agree.
The performance. What's his name?
Robert Patrick.
His performance of the T1000 is just so unnerving.
Yeah.
And so unsettling. And you know, he doesn't do it with physical presence.
Yeah.
You look at Arnie and you go, whoa,
I'm out.
I don't want to mess with this guy.
Done.
The T1000 is unassuming.
Right.
But just so cold.
Yeah.
So cold.
Yep.
And mechanical. And just this what's the word I want to use? I mean, he so tunnel visioned in on his objective and nothing stopping.
Yeah.
Nothing stopping him. You're blowing holes in his head and you're blowing up this truck that he's in, and it's just like he doesn't even react. And that's like so scary that like he's not even reacting. He's like, okay, I'll move this wreckage out of the way and just keep going.
Arnold says in Terminator 2, like, yeah, I don't feel pain, but I register damage.
Yeah.
And it hinders me.
Yeah.
But the T1000 doesn't.
No.
Like you hit it with a high yield explosive round and it blasts apart and just pulls itself back together.
Yeah, whereas it has regenerative
whereas, like,
properties, so it doesn't have to register.
Loses an arm and like looks at it like a second, like,
and it has to be like, okay, now I have to alter
my programming
so I can fight without this appendage.
Right.
The T1000 just goes right back.
Yep.
And even now, I mean, when I first saw the movie, the T1000 was terrifying, like legit terrifying. Even now, it's like
it's still
he sends you a shiver.
Yep.
Like, this thing's coming after you. You got no chance.
Yeah. Just lie down and take it.
Yeah.
Just lie down and take it.
Unless you're Sarah Connor.
Yep.
Sarah Connor's just like, no.
Yep.
I don't care what the odds are.
Yep.
Never tell me the odds. I think that came from this movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And it took a lot, but
they put
we got there.
We got there.
Yeah.
Do you have another rave?
I mean, I'll just finish what I was saying about
sure.
Robert in that just like all of the casting was just so effing good. Like Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Arnold as this machine, especially in 2, my favorite Arnold performances in 2, where you have Arnold playing a emotionless machine that is learning emotion.
You can't kill people. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can't. Why?
Your foster parents are dead. Like, it was so fun and so satisfying to watch this machine learn and take on, and like the machine's whole role, other than termination, which that's his primary objective, but he's an infiltrator.
Right.
And so watching that programming go through to learn and adapt, it was so good. And I think Arnold was perfectly cast for that.
I agree.
A friend of mine who was like, is it okay even with Arnold? Obviously, she's not the biggest fan of Arnold, but I was like, Arnold is perfect for this role because he's
right.
This isn't going to sound like the compliment I mean it to sound, but he's not playing a human,
right?
And he's not playing a robot. He's playing this middle ground, which is so good. Like, he's just off enough that you're like,
right?
Yeah, this isn't a human,
but
he's like trying, and it works so well.
I will just take that through to 6. With the Carl is the final form.
I liked Carl.
I liked Carl, and I liked that he grew a conscience because, okay, we've seen the Terminator that's programmed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the Terminator that's programmed to protect.
Mm-hmm.
And right up until the end, the Terminator, like, in order to save John, I have to die, and I can't self-terminate.
Yeah. And this was the Terminator.
This was the Terminator that could self-terminate.
Yeah. And this is the term. This is so we have the Terminator to terminate,
to sacrifice himself,
the Terminator to protect, and then this is the Terminator to regret and to right wrongs. Like, what evolution
that
of
the machine could learn and grow a conscience and atone for the wrong that it had committed.
Yeah. And I loved how they explained that in the movie where
for John, I was like,
where he was like, you know, I saved this woman and she started living with me with her son.
Yep.
And through my relations with this woman and her son, I started to come to an understanding of what I took from you. And
holy
shit. There are humans that need
that don't get
that processing.
Yep.
And to see the Terminator come to that, I mean, he had reached the end of his programming, and now all he has left is the infiltration part.
Self-terminate, so he had to evolve.
Yep.
And he had to survive.
It was
and
really
grow
nice.
And change. It's like, and like for John is but also
and that's the last thing he says.
Yep. It's so good.
You knew. Just based on Terminator movies, you knew that Arnold had to make the sacrifice.
Terminator 5, he survives in Terminator 5.
Yeah, he through happenstance. Like, he still did the sacrifice play,
but he made it,
and he made it just by
happenstance.
In this, so you knew he was going to be sacrificing himself. But it was emotional the way he did it, and that he said for John. Oh boy, oh boy.
And similarly, by what he did to Sarah, she turned into a Terminator.
Yeah.
She meet Sarah at the.
Are you going to tell you? Would you have believed it if you were going to say, "Oh, in Terminator 6, Sarah's the Terminator.
Sarah's the Terminator,
and Arnold is the father."
Yeah.
What?
What the shit?
And does it work?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, guys, but through him,
longtime listeners, you got to watch.
She becomes the she becomes the mother again. She becomes the maternal. Yeah, like it's amazing.
She finds her humanity again with the help of the Terminator.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's cool. It's very cool.
I could go on raving for days.
All right, last thing I'll say is like the action cannot be topped. The action is like gold standard action. It's just in all. Okay, one is definitely,
it was limited by the budget,
and it's more like suspenseful thriller.
Yep.
The action in 2, and it holds up
so well,
so good,
so well.
And then 3, like, it was great. Like, when we got to action set pieces, I was all in on every action set piece. That damn fight, the fight in the plane,
the fight with in the first encounter in the factory with the chain,
was great.
The action sequences and set pieces are perfect.
Yeah, there's no other There's no critiques.
I don't think there's an equal to it in cinema. They've tried.
Have they tried?
Yeah.
Yes. One quick question before we move on, because
Yeah.
I know we have to move on from raves, because this isn't a big question, but it's
a question.
It's a question about a rave.
We'll
basically.
allow it.
What do you think the most badass scene was? Like, what was like the most like, wow, that's badass? I'll tell you mine while you're thinking about yours. Just watching in Judgment Day, Arnold on the motorcycle reloading the shotgun while he's driving. I could not help to go, that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
And I'm not really like a badass kind of guy. I'm not normally gravitating to like, what's the most badass thing I can think of? But I could not deny it. That's how badass it was when he just driving emotionless on the face, one hand on the handles, one hand just spinning that shotgun,
shooting the gates open.
Holy shit.
And like, yeah, it's a great sequence.
Like, I can't deny this. I cannot deny this badassery. You can mull it over.
I can't. That's a cool sequence. Now. I can tell you, when I saw that as a kid, my mind was blown. But overall, I think the most badass sequence is Sarah doing pull-ups with her overturned bed.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
In the institution.
Yeah. Her getting out of the institution. It's so gratifying.
It's so cool. It's so gratifying. It's so well done. And like how she has learned to be an infiltrator.
Yeah. And then Arnie shows up and she's like losing her shit.
Yeah.
And then she has to be convinced that
that's a badass sequence. And I'll say that Mackenzie Davis's Grace, her fighting the Terminator, the Rev 9.
Yeah.
I that was pretty badass.
How about when Sarah shows up for the first time in Dark Fate?
That was very holy crap. Shit. When like she gets out with did she get out with a grenade launcher?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it's like
blasting, no questions asked.
Just gets out of full
blows
on
them
Terminator.
off the bridge. Just walks by the two with the classic.
Yep.
I'll be back. You have to have an I'll be back in a Terminator movie.
Linda Hamilton's a fucking badass.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we have not given her
badassery,
her due as an actor, and I think Sarah Connor is unfairly overlooked in cinema.
Well, I hope
that character is such a badass,
and I hope that we're giving a voice to that argument. I mean, this is our Sarah Connor trilogy.
Yeah, and in terms of like hero's journey, I would be hard pressed to find another character over the course of 30 years.
Strong agree. I mean,
as well written and as well portrayed as as Sarah.
Obvious to me that I don't even think sometimes to. It's like everyone must know this. Everyone must know that Sarah Connor
Linda Hamilton's commitment to the character of like from Terminator to Terminator 2, putting in like the physical training, putting in the weapons training, that when she's holding a weapon, you believe it. Because and Arnold did the same thing when he was cast as Terminator. Like he had made action movies before that and was like using weapons that were like plastic pipes strapped together with like little like he did the weapons training so that when he was holding a weapon and handling it, it would look realistic. And Linda did the same thing right on through to Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. Like, I hope at 67, I can do what Linda was doing in Terminator 6.
No offense, but you're not gonna.
I know that. I'm not gonna look. The state of my affairs right now, apart. I'm not gonna make it.
You look more like Arnie at the end of like T2.
T2. Yeah. I will be. Yeah. I'll the you're first to admit that.
Literally, falling apart.
Literally falling apart. Yeah. So,
but you keep picking yourself back up.
You know, I just keep dragging.
You just can't self-terminate.
Keep dragging myself. From one episode to the next.
Yep. That's just like a nice that you want to be a Linda Hamilton, but you're more of an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The last thing I'll say, I really liked the message of Terminator 6 that found family is just as real and valuable as progenited. And like there was a great like. Sarah had lost her child, but she was able to like embrace and protect, care for, and train Danny the same way. And that Danny looked out for and raised Grace and took care of her.
Yep.
And then Grace like did the solid of, I have to sacrifice myself for her.
Yeah. She did the Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more so than like, it's a step above Kyle Reese though, because John knew that Kyle was his dad.
Right.
John knew to befriend Kyle because Sarah had told him.
Oh yeah. I mean, Kyle.
Grace had to go on the journey through her life and put the pieces together.
Yeah.
That she was the person that would go back in time to protect Danny.
I guess that's a big question.
And Danny had to raise her in such a way that at that moment, Grace
would make that decision.
Realized that I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Danny was saved by a woman who was part machine that went back and like, she had to know just enough to make the connection of like, I volunteer, do this to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very, you don't find that in a lot of cinema.
And that's the question because, just like you said, John knew that Kyle had to be sent back in time so that he would be born.
Knew.
And Kyle never knew.
He didn't know he was John's father.
And so then the question is, and well, I guess it's in the middle movies, but it's kind of established that John had to find and make sure Kyle survived to make that decision. So you wonder if Danny had that same journey as part of her. Was she looking for Grace, knowing that she had to save Grace?
Well, yeah. I mean, we see that at the end. She's watching
she watches
through the chain link fence. Yeah.
She finds little Grace,
right?
Baby Grace,
baby Grace.
And so, it's that fun turning around. It's that fun. It's like a fun egg beater in my head.
Yeah.
It just keep going around and around, and the things are meshing together every rotation.
And I've seen some people like try and fit and be like, "Oh man, like that was Grace was Danny's daughter. How could she send her back in time?" No. She didn't send her back in time. Grace put it together in that moment when she was dying that she.
Yeah, Danny raised her in such a way
to
be the person that would make that decision.
Like, how could a person do that to their kid? But Danny can only do that because Grace went back in time and saved her.
And
they save each other.
They
save each other.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody wants to send their kid through a situation like this. But I think a lot of parents, I hope most parents, are hoping that they are raising a person who they never want them to be in this situation.
Right.
But if they were the kind of person to make the meaningful and right choice. I mean, it's
crazy.
It's a crazy thing that you don't even want to think about it, because to be in that situation, you'd never want your kid in that situation anyway, but you'd still want them to be the good person, be the right person.
You want them to be the person that will do it.
And that's all of them.
Yeah.
That's all of them. That's Sarah. That's Danny. That's Grace.
That's John.
It's John. It's Kyle.
Yep.
I guess Kyle never knows that he's
John's father.
So I guess you'll take him out of the equation because he never knows. Terminator. Linda Hamilton.
It's time to rant.
It's time to rant. I got a couple. I only have two.
I have a big one. I have both 4 rants.
They're both kind of related. Okay, then you go first.
Okay. This was a big question turned rant.
Oh, fun.
A rant is anything that takes you out of the experience.
Yeah.
You will never convince me that the T-800 Model 101 is an infiltration unit. There is nothing inconspicuous about it. The voice, the look, the height, nothing. Yeah. If you're Skynet and you're trying to create an infiltration unit, like, you would objectively, just looking at the data, you would never put skin number 101 into production.
No. If you're trying to infiltrate this ragtag group of
look, that's a Terminator.
Rebels, you're not finding any rebels that are that pumped up. Like
what
they don't have
human
the
has
time.
access
They
to
don't
that
have
much
the time.
like food
Yeah.
in the like that dystopian future?
Yep.
So you will never convince me
No, that it was
T800, like the endoskeleton T800
Yeah.
with the 101 skin on it. That's Arnold. He's like, there are other skins.
Mhm.
That's like the ones that look like Arnold are skin number 101.
Mhm.
You never convinced me that that was an infiltration unit.
No. Worked in the past. We're extending it to the past.
Yeah.
But to think that
I mean,
there's a
even
bunch
into
of
the past,
those Arnolds,
he's so out of place with like the Austrian accent and like the way he moves.
oh yeah,
Like,
but I would
run away from that guy.
I would chalk that up to Skynet just being like,
It's the 1980s. It's a shithole.
it's the 1980s. We don't have clear records. This is our best chance.
This is our
like this is our best attempt at it.
The records didn't survive, guys. Didn't all humans look like this?
Yeah. So, but like, if you'll never convince me that there's an army of Arnolds that are like infiltrating the resistance.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that at the beginning of Terminator, we're led to believe that like Terminators can just walk into the resistance base.
Yes.
If not for their dogs.
Oh, what a nice touch! What a nice touch in Dark Fate.
Dark the dog.
He has a dog.
He has a dog, and it
he's
doesn't
petting
freak out.
it,
Yeah, it
and,
loves
like,
him. That was
what a
that's
nice
how you
touch.
know. It's such a.
That's
small
how you know
detail.
that he's human now.
Right.
I don't care what's underneath.
He's not a Terminator anymore.
That's why we
he
need
has
dogs.
evolved and he's human.
To know who's human.
Yep.
That's how you don't trust someone your dog is alive.
And that's kind of the turn for Sarah too when she sees that.
Yeah.
That the dog is like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, gotta trust the dog.
That and he's an interior designer.
Yeah,
which is in the script because James Cameron knew that Arnold likes interior design.
Oh, that's funny.
That's his hobby.
That I was going to ask a big question, and I have to say this.
Okay.
I was going to ask a big question. Why would Carl choose drapes as his way to hide in place? And I asked that watching the movie.
Sure.
And my wife, without missing a beat, she put no thought into it. She goes, "They're the perfect cover." And I was like, how dare you? How dare you be so on the nose?
Well played, former executive assistant.
So I was impressed.
Well played.
And I was like, if that finds a way in the episode,
that's what it feels like sitting on the opposite side of the table from you.
You must. I envy you. I envy you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That now you know what it feels like.
Yeah, I love when he's just having look, we're raving in our rant section. I love when he's just having a conversation about drapes.
Yeah.
They wanted to put in a little pattern with ducks. I said, no, that is too bold. Like, he's really into this.
He's all in on drapes.
Yep.
He knows as much about drapes as he does about weapons.
Yep.
Do you have a rant?
I do.
That was a rave.
They're gonna go together here.
Sure.
And I'll start by saying I didn't, this isn't the rant. I didn't I had a bad reaction to the fact that Sarah didn't cancel Judgment Day. She just postponed Judgment Day.
Right.
I'll accept it though, so that the movie could continue, but it still didn't sit right with me. What I did not like was how it all played out exactly the same again.
Just
like, so, okay, so there's no Skynet, but now there's Legion. Okay, I buy it. I'm still on board.
Sure.
There's murder robots. Okay, sure. I'll still buy it. It's the future. Robots. They've decided their best chance is to invent time travel.
Right.
Oh, okay. And they've also decided to go back in time to kill the leader of the resistance. It's like, was there any, like, you hear all the time, like, oh, if you travel back in time, you'd step on a butterfly. Like, it's going to divert everything.
Yeah.
And it's like,
nothing changes. Nothing.
Which I guess is the point of the story. But, you know, I guess that's one of the things I just loved about too, was that, like, you could be fated for something, but you can alter your fate. You could change your own fate.
Well, I mean, if you look at, you can change your fate, you can, but that doesn't change nature. And I think you you texted me like, oh, the reason there's only one species of humans because we killed everything else.
Yep, we killed all the other species.
And then we
Spoiler alert for
all the other species of everything else.
Yep.
And then ultimately we will kill ourselves.
Yeah, no, we're very destructive.
But what I liked was that the machines were just as predictable. And which you already said that the machines do this. The machines
they're just
kill all of the kill all the other species. They eventually kill enough of the humans.
Yeah.
That now we have to create a situation in which we kill ourselves.
Yeah.
We've already made the planet uninhabitable, but we're machines, so we don't need sunlight and air.
I think one of the things I would have liked a little more is if instead of maybe I wouldn't. I'm just thinking about this on the top of my head, so maybe I wouldn't actually like this. But instead of going back in time to kill Danny, which just seemed to me like such an inevitability, like a fixed point in time almost.
Yeah.
The robots always have to go back in time.
Right.
It almost made more sense because the humans in that future seemed they were the ones up against the ropes. They did not seem to be the ones.
They were not winning.
So you almost wish it was a Hail Mary play done by the humans
to go back in time.
And then the robots were like, well, fuck it. Now we have to go back in time and prevent Grace from creating Danny.
Right.
You know, in a similar way.
I did like, though, that the twist on that was that the Terminators had skin because you couldn't send metal back through time.
No exposed metal would
only
survive.
It has to be wrapped into
nothing non-biological.
Right. I did like that Grace had to be turned into a machine to survive time travel.
Yeah.
Like a human couldn't go through it. They would just die.
Oh, that would ripped apart.
The only way she could survive time travel was to be turned into a machine, to become a Terminator.
Yeah.
I did like that twist.
Sure. Yeah. I guess for me, it all just comes down to the rant, it takes you out. And I was like,
exactly.
The chances of this all unfolding
exactly the
same way just seems like the smallest, minutest alteration somewhere along the timeline should have altered it more than this. And like blowing up Skynet was like a big effing diversion.
Right. Well, it's like it really makes it's the message of Terminator is like to hope and fight and survive, but it also like embedded in there is this like sense of nihilism that nothing matters. No matter what you do, the machines are still going to rise up and kill us all.
Yeah. So
why bother?
Yeah.
And Sarah goes in and out of that. Which is,
she does.
I'm not really interested in that. I'll save that.
Okay.
I'll go on to my next rant. I needed more of Sarah's transformation from Terminator T2. It's so jarring when you see her on screen for the first time, and she resembles herself so little at times. It does feel like a new character.
So you're saying when you first see her in T2, like when she's in the mental institute?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like she is so radically different, even from the end of Terminator. And I get that there's 12, 13, 14 years in between there, whatever.
Yeah, I think John is 11. So
sure. Okay.
So it's like 12 years.
But it feels in many ways like a new character. And I will just say the caveat, that's what trauma does to you.
Yeah.
Like the Sarah that was died.
Right.
In that, then she is a new person for all intents and purposes. And she's just hyper focused on trying to keep John alive.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, again, we're going back to the egg beater again.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, John also created Sarah.
Right.
The Sarah that existed before the events of T1 would not have survived. It's all this cyclicalness that just is spinning and spinning, beating my brain with my
John
with my
can
egg
only
beater.
survive if Sarah becomes the person she needs to be.
I think
it's
I think we
it's
hit
wibbly
on
wobbly, timey wimey.
piece of our Geeking Out Swiss Army knife is the Terminator egg beater.
Terminator egg beater. I like that. Yeah. We're assembling it.
Yeah, because it's I like it because it's the two things going around in circles but always meshing into each other. I like that. I like that. I didn't think of that until we were talking organically.
There we go.
This talk could make it through the time jump.
It could.
It's very organic.
Very. You have another rant?
I mean, again, I gave Dark Fate a very high score,
right.
So this didn't hurt me too much, but I did find Dark Fate to be predictable just in the ways that, like, I wish I was surprised by something. I wish there had been something that I was like, oh, didn't see that coming. But like, even when she's getting these texts, when Sarah Connor's getting the text, I'm like, I bet it's going to be it's going to be Arnold. Yeah. I bet it's going to be him. And then, like,
if I didn't know that Arnold was in the movie, I probably would have let it slide. But knowing that he was in it,
only because I was like, how many people know John?
Yeah,
you know. And then also, I don't know, whatever reason, the moment she said, when Sarah was kind of going off and she was like, you know, oh, they're back in time to protect you because you're going to give birth to, like, the savior and I was like, no, Danny's the savior.
Yeah.
Like, there was just too many moments of that where I was like, I know what they're doing here.
Well, it was I'll say, rave in my rant.
We can
rave the way they set up that scene, like, Grace has Sarah pinned against the wall. Yeah. And she's like, what are, I forgot what she says. There's like, I'm here to protect the like, I have to save the leader of the resistance. Yeah. And then Danny opens the door and walks in. Yeah. And like beautiful foreshadowing and visual storytelling.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Yeah. No, there was and listen, this didn't take Sarah me out
comes
that often.
To it. Yeah, that Sarah comes to it later than we do. Yeah. I liked that.
It's just a couple too many points that I was just like, yeah, I saw that.
Not to go in another, but it is the antithesis of a movie like Dark Knight Rises. He's Robin.
He's Robin.
It's Robin. Yeah. He's Robin.
Yeah.
Do you get it? He's Robin.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. But yeah. So there's just a couple too many points in the movie where I wanted there to be something that I was like, oh,
something that
you made me think it wasn't going to be that, but it's this instead.
Yeah.
I'll
just follow that up with in Dark Fate, Grace constantly stroking out.
Yeah.
Just have her break like a Terminator.
Yeah.
Like, have her lose a hand. Have some skin some of the metal get exposed on her somewhere. But
it was the equivalent of
she feels
Amy getting drugged.
It was, yeah.
Like, okay, we can't have Grace in this scene because it would make it too easy.
Right.
So, stroking.
When we have to make Sarah save her, and it has to be hard because it's effortless for Grace to fight. If you don't take Rev 9 down in the first 5 minutes, then you're not going to take it down.
Yeah.
And she strokes out, and then so I got this.
I don't even remember. Maybe you can answer this for me. What eventually leads? Does Sarah ever question if Grace is a Terminator?
No.
She should have.
Right.
She really should have.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Really
because all signs point to
that she's
infiltration.
Infiltrated.
Robot.
Yeah.
And out of all of the things that she mistrusts, that should
Grace
be a
is never
big
one of them. Yeah. I get, and I didn't even write that down as a rant.
I didn't even notice that until right now.
I didn't either. You're absolutely right. She has no reason, and I guess that's just lazy storytelling on the part of
she doesn't.
The team.
She starts by not trusting her, but you think that she'd be like, shoot first, ask questions later.
Right.
This is a Terminator.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she got the text, be here at this time. Grace is there.
Right.
Who's to say that one Terminator that she blows off the bridge isn't the Terminator? You think she'd be suspicious of everybody.
Exactly. They're all Terminators.
Yeah.
Kill them all.
Yeah.
So that was, I would have liked it better if she showed battle damage like a Terminator.
Yeah.
And the only difference being that she's human, so she feels it. Because Grace must be in just excruciating pain.
Looks hard.
All the time. I mean, when
they did a nice job
visually,
makeup effects, like all the seams on her.
Exactly. And then like she does get cut open when she's at border control.
Yeah.
And they're like, how is this person alive? How did she survive this?
Yeah.
which we'll get to. Great question. How did she survive? Like, she must be in constant excruciating pain, and she's basically just pumping anticoagulants the whole time, so that her blood continues to move through her body and keep her alive.
Yeah.
That's what I understood those to be. Were just like anticoagulants, right?
I didn't even think too hard about it.
I forgot everything that's in there. And also, like, how did they know the proper amounts to mix in to keep her alive? Like, they just I
feel like they said that at one point, that I thought like Sarah or someone was like, I'm just giving her it all.
I don't know.
I don't know what she needs. I just gave it to her.
This is the stuff she grabbed, and it's all of it.
That's a gamble.
Okay, yeah.
Paid off, I guess.
Paid off.
Yeah.
You have any more rants?
No, truly, like, and mine, we're kind of...
They're small rants.
They're small rants. I really enjoyed.
It's so good.
You also might be also convincing me to tell people to do 1, 2, and 6.
6 is so good.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, and I'm saying Terminator 2 is the best of them, but 1 and 6 pass the Bechdel test. 2 does not pass the Bechdel test.
2 doesn't, huh?
No.
Yeah,
Bechdel test. 2 women need to have a conversation on screen, not about a man.
Yeah, and I think Sarah
is the only on-screen woman that we meet. Well, his stepmom.
Oh, yeah, his foster mom.
But she doesn't. No, yeah, they don't ever. 2 does not.
Yeah, they
pass
never
the
meet.
Bechdel
They
test.
never. Yeah, that's interesting.
And 6 does. Really,
oh yeah,
and like,
I mean,
and 1 also does, which is interesting. She works in the diner.
Oh, the diner. Yeah,
and like they just have like a conversation about work.
The last thing I'll say before I move on from rants is I feel like I should defend the fact that I gave both 1 and 6 a 91, and I'll clarify that by saying I think Terminator 1 is written more tightly.
Yeah,
there's fewer holes. It has the benefit of being first.
Yeah.
So so I can't argue the fact that I'm like, damn, this is impressive that this was put together this tightly.
And it's an independent movie. We should say the first Terminator is an independent movie with like a shoestring budget.
Yeah, and so
it's small.
Kudos. 6. As I said, I have some problems with it, and I poke some holes in some of the plot. But God, if both of them were on at the same time, I'd watch 6.
I agree.
It's
well, how would we do that? Let's rank them.
Oh, okay.
For me, it's 2, 6, 1.
Yeah, that's me too.
Okay.
2, 6, 1.
Yep.
I watch 2
all day, every day. Yeah.
I don't care what else is on.
I agree.
I'm watching 2.
I agree.
2's not on, but 6 and 1 are.
I'm watching 6. Yep.
1 is also one that I feel like I don't think I have a whole lot of rewatch desire for 1. I get it. It sets it up. It's really tight. It's really nice.
It is.
But like you said, it's more suspenseful.
It is, and it's derivative of like the way we made and told stories in the 80s. Yeah. And it's very
how I feel
dated.
about that.
I agree.
I almost put it in the 80s, but I was like, God, it's so tight. It's so tight. I can't.
It takes so many chances, and like the effect, like the puppetry effect. I mean, the practical effects and stop motion, and that, and like the puppetry involved in like Arnold.
Yeah, mechanical.
The mechanical and like the faux Arnold looking in the mirror and working on cutting his fake eye out, and the reveal. I mean, today we would just slap that together and post.
Yeah.
Having to do that on screen with
look at us, we're still
puppet,
raving.
It's mind-boggling.
Only because you brought up mirrors. In the second movie, I could not wrap my head around how they were doing that scene where they're taking out his processing unit. He's looking in the mirror.
Oh, yeah.
And we're looking at him talking and doing things, and we're also seeing in the side of the shot the back of his head with it being removed.
Yeah.
It's all matching up like with the mirror. I don't know how they did that.
Either. Probably
in
with a magnitude of mirrors.
Yeah, it's like the only way.
Yeah,
but like it was flawless,
and it's not not CG.
No,
and it's
practical.
It's practically done.
I was literally. I mean, I know we always say a rant is anything fiction, but it's a rave that took me on the movie because I'm like, how the fuck did they pull this off?
I know we need that show.
That's really impressive.
Like we need whatever that show was.
Yeah, Movie Magic or something.
We got to find it, and I'm sure they They've talked
See,
about it.
we can rave for days. We're in rants and we're raving.
But we need to move to big
Yeah,
questions.
BQs.
All right. You want to go first?
Sure. I have a rhetorical big question.
Okay.
We
cool.
don't normally have a lot of rhetorical big questions.
Okay.
How fucking terrifying would it be if you were just aware of all of these people that had the same name of you being murdered? Like, that's all I could think of in Terminator 1 was like, that is probably the most terrifying thing of this whole movie is that Sarah Connor is aware
you're the last one.
that Sarah Connors all over the city are dying. And the only thing that ties them
Murdered
together.
violently.
Yeah. And the only thing that connects them is their name is Sarah Connor. And your name is Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I strongly agree.
I don't care who you are. Yeah. That will shake you.
You are like...
You're hunted.
Yeah. I mean... What do you do?
What do you do? That's the big question. What do you do?
And then, like, what that does to you after, like, you think you're safe in a police station?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just
Crazy.
a rhetorical. How terrifying. The answer.
Very terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Okay. Here's a big question.
Sure.
The T-800 and all subsequent mechanical Terminators are a metallic endoskeleton with living tissue grafted over it. How does the T-800 sustain living tissue without a heart? Like, you need to pump blood.
I don't know what it's got in it.
How is it sustaining that how? I don't understand how it's living tissue if it doesn't have a circulatory system to
literally, maybe I don't know. Maybe it literally has an artificial heart kind of thing that just is sole purpose is to circulate the blood.
Well, I
around
mean,
it.
we see the tissue burned completely off of it, and there isn't any. There's no heart.
I'm just saying, like,
but I
didn't like.
Like maybe it was burned up with the fire.
Yeah, like who? Like
I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
Okay.
I'm also like, and I think you agree because it's not a rant.
Yeah. It didn't take me out, but I was wondering.
Something's working. And I love that. I love how his skin was dying in the first one.
Yeah.
You know, like and he smells and like he had taken enough damage. His skin had taken enough damage.
Right.
He's still functional.
The skin is dying. Or dead.
That's terrifying too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of terrifying stuff in one.
Yep.
Whereas
that they smell him coming before they see him.
And I imagine he can't smell that. I imagine.
No, how would he?
I don't know. They're very advanced robots with smell indicators. I don't think so.
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
When the Terminator sustains enough damage that he doesn't have the living tissue over him, why does he stop talking when he loses the tissue?
Yeah.
Like, why can't the sound of him talking isn't coming from the tissue? Yeah. It's not like he has living vocal cords on his metallic.
They go silent. Yeah.
Why do the Terminators go silent once their living tissue face is destroyed?
I don't know.
And the T-1000 does the same thing. If you like blow it out of proportion, it turns into the
big wobbly thing.
Big wobbly thing. It like screeches.
Yeah.
Stops talking and it goes screechy like some kind of creature.
Yeah.
Why?
They only speak when they're fully intact.
Right.
It's a good big question. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I had something. I wish I either had something really smart or really funny, and I got neither.
Nothing.
I got nothing on that one. I didn't even notice that, and that's a great point.
Okay.
That they don't. Yeah, because you can still infiltrate,
right?
Because they do a lot of that, like call and answer, like to trick.
Yeah.
Come help me.
What's wrong with Wolfie?
I don't know, but it's not a tumor. Okay, well, we narrow that down. What else could it be?
You ugly motherfucker.
Here's a big question. Were kids saying hasta la vista before Terminator 2? Was that a thing?
No.
Because
doesn't he
learn it from John Connor?
You gotta be cool.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista, baby. And, no, he puts the baby together with it. He's like hasta la vista. Yeah. Instead of like bye.
Okay. Because I when that happened in the movie, it did trigger me to go,
oh yeah.
Was hasta la vista like
no.
hasta la vida? La vida. hasta la vista a real thing that kids were saying? I think it only happened because of the movie.
It did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
so it's the egg beaters again.
Yep.
It's the egg beaters all over again.
Okay. What are the rules of time travel in Terminator?
Mm-hmm.
Skynet is destroyed.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Carl have vanished since he was never created?
That's I saw. I wish I could find it. Maybe I'll start looking.
You
for
did
it.
send
There
it to
was
me,
a
yes.
cool guide of like how different movies handle
We'll talk about it in the midstream.
time travel. Yeah. And Terminator is different from so many other properties
Right.
in that once something happens in the future,
It becomes the past.
it becomes the past and it's cemented.
Or when you travel back in time
Yeah.
from the future to the past, that becomes the future.
Right. I mean, similarly, I mean, you could go in so many directions with this
Right.
because the same question is because I had this thought when Sarah was about to shoot Miles the name of the guy
Dyson,
who
yeah.
was gonna make,
Joe Morton Jr.
so she shows up at her house as a fucking badass,
Yeah.
ready to just
Sniping through the
kill this guy to avoid Judgment Day. And I get her reason,
yeah.
but I had the thought in my head, isn't this going to kill John? Because
Right.
John will never be born if Skynet doesn't develop time
Right.
travel, because there's no way you can have a child with Kyle Reese who came back in time to have a kid with you
Right.
7 years ago, however long,
Right.
or 12 years ago, however long it was.
Yeah.
And so
This is risky.
it's risky. And I thought, for a moment, that's what's going to stop her from this. If I
Right.
do this,
I'm
John-
going to lose John.
I'm trying to do this to save John. Am I going to lose?
Yeah.
That didn't really come up, but it made me start thinking.
Yeah, so
Like,
I don't know what the rules
I don't know
of
it
how
either.
this, or are these it's so what model of time travel is
Yeah.
it? When you go back in time, do you create a new branch universe?
Right.
Is this is it Avengers? Is it Loki? Is it Back to the Future? Is it Star Trek 4? I guess I don't, or is it its own
Or is
thing?
it its own thing? I'm almost wondering if it's its own thing. We'll
And
do
is-
some
and is
research
it-
for the
And is
midstream.
it different things? Is like Terminator and Terminator 2.
Mhm.
So like Terminator is like one model, but
Mhm.
because they destroy Skynet, creates an alternate future,
Maybe.
and then that's the world of Terminator 4,
Mhm.
and the going back in time in Genesis changes things
Yeah.
so much that now we have people that look different. And then so like my ultimate big question with that is the Sarah Connor we meet in Terminator 6,
Mhm.
is that an older version of Amelia Clark's Sarah?
That's what I started wondering when you said that I thought they were unrelated.
So like, is this a sequel to Terminator 2 or a sequel to Terminator 5?
Yeah.
And I think it's a sequel to Terminator 2. But
I
then
also
when we
think
do finally see dead Carl and all of his skin is missing,
Yeah.
the endoskeleton that's underneath is the Terminator Genesis version of
was
the
it?
T-800.
Didn't pick up on that.
And I can kind of rationalize that away as, well, this is Skydance.
Yeah.
They had this left over from Terminator
Sure.
5. They're not just going to like make an entire, that costs money that you don't need to
Does.
spend.
Yeah.
Just use the same fucking thing that you had from the previous one.
Right.
So yeah, that T-800 endoskeleton is the same one that Arnold destroys, Big Daddy destroys of the T-800 in the past.
Big
Daddy.
I'm gonna throw this out to the long-time listeners because sometimes we get like really in-depth, like
I don't even know if I could
dissections of the
recreate what I
timeline.
just said. So
play it back. That's the beauty of audio.
Play it back
Um,
right into the show. Please let us know what you think.
So, is 6 a continuation of 2 or is it a continuation of 5? And do you have an answer for how exactly time travel and alternate timelines work
in
the
this
Terminator
universe. Because I'm at a loss. And
Yeah,
I will say, like,
It's tough.
it's tough, but I also don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's so good. I don't give a shit.
It's the egg beater all over again. I'm happy to be thinking about these things. I'm not angry.
Right.
I'm thinking about these things.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm angry to be thinking about these things.
Do you get angry sometimes?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Jansport backpack.
How the fuck if you're the prop master on that fucking
Can
movie.
Can of worms.
Honestly, long-time listeners.
That's it. I don't have any other big questions.
I
have. They're not worth it, and they're more related actually to 3, 4, and 5.
So. I mean, I had some rants that were 3, 4, and 5,
but you know,
and I was like,
we'll talk about that off mic.
We'll talk about it off mic
because we're keeping this.
So come join us on our Patreon.
We're starting the new year. I mean, this is the year of Linda Hamilton. We're just starting it right now. Let's all have a Sarah Connor year. 2022.
Yeah.
But like the good way. Like she goes through a lot of shit. We don't want to go through a lot of shit, but we want to persevere.
Been through a lot of shit.
Like Sarah Connor. That's
hopefully we have changed the future.
We want to persevere like Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Because who can you point to in our media who is as resilient as Sarah Connor? I'm hard pressed to find someone.
As am I, Sketch. As am I.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think that brings us to
Shades of Sketch recommendations.
Sketch, why don't you go first?
Mine is unrelated to
Okay, that's fine.
Is yours related at all?
No.
Okay, because this is going to be a hard turn.
Okay.
I'm gonna recommend an anime I just watched that I really liked. Like I got in real deep on this one. And it's not even like my typical anime that I usually like, but it's called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Okay.
Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. The premise is it takes place in like modern day, real world Japan.
Okay.
But there's this woman. She works as a computer programmer. She's very incredibly work oriented. She's tunnel vision on her work. She has no personal life. It's all work. She also likes to drink a lot. And one night after a heavy night of drinking, she kind of stumbles into the forest and she finds a dragon, like a big effing dragon.
Yeah.
Big hurt, battle damaged dragon.
Okay.
Dragons do not exist in this world.
Right.
By talking to this dragon, because she's drunk and has a lot of confidence.
Okay.
She finds out that this dragon came from another world, like another plane of existence.
Okay.
Big war going on there between dragons and gods and stuff like that. She was mortally wounded and basically flew to Earth to basically die. And Miss Kobayashi was like, fuck that. Like, and she like takes the sword out of her side and like, it's a big sword. And she pulls it out of her side. And so the dragon is like, huh, okay, this is weird because my purpose was to fight in that war and I'm not in that war anymore. I'm in your world and I kind of feel like I'm indebted to you. And so, what can I do? How can I repay you? And Miss Kobayashi, another thing, she's like a maidophile. Like she just loves maids, and not like in a sexual way or anything, but like she knows maids the way I know Zoids or whatever. And so she's like, you can be my maid. And so the dragon's like, all right, I'll do that. Anyway, Miss Kobayashi gets home. The dragon shows up in her human form and vows to be her maid moving forward. And so it's that, I almost want to say classic story of fish out of water because it's someone from another world trying to
and a dragon.
She happens to be a dragon, but she has a human form when she's
of course.
And through her coming through, other dragons come to look for her, and they also kind of fall in love with Earth and decide to live on Earth as well in their human forms. And each one of them kind of forms a very close connection with a human. You want to call it love, but it's
a reverse dragon harem.
Not harem because it's all different people. Like they all kind of fall for a different person.
Oh, gotcha.
But they find a human that they really love, and I'm gonna say love because, but it's not like romantic love.
Yeah.
It's like friends and just just they really like this person, so they decide to live with them, and it's just so sweet. Like it's really sweet, because it really like explores these relationships. Obviously, the dragon, Toru, who's funny and hilarious, and her fish out of water stuff is great. But she starts to kind of coax Kobayashi out of her shell, and Kobayashi starts, like we were talking about Terminator, having this found family.
Yeah.
That's like incredibly unusual, and they get themselves into very strange situations because they are dragons and they're learning life on Earth. But in doing so, she starts taking on these roles of like a very young dragon comes in and she almost becomes like a bigger sister or mother-esque to. And she starts opening up more and more, even to the other humans in her life. And so it's a story that follows both Kobayashi, the human, and Toru, the dragon, both of them learning to be full people.
Human.
It's very cute.
It's kind of related to Terminator.
It's very related to Terminator. Every once in a while you get these amazing action scenes like out of nowhere because like another dragon shows up and challenges Toru and she's got to
fight.
Of course, Toru falls in love with Kobayashi actually, it doesn't even take much for her to fall in love with Kobayashi. Kobayashi is very hesitant to return affection, but you can tell that Kobayashi does truly care and love about Toru and wants to keep her in her life. And it's just the two of them like protecting each other throughout the world. And it's very slice of life with these supernatural elements to it. And it's so feel good. Like it's just feel good. I watched the whole first season and then the second season came out and they like upped the budget in like the most absurd ways where like things that have no business being this beautifully animated are like they're just showing off at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just really it's just a really good feel good anime about relationships and how you treat other people and becoming you, not worrying about what other people are pushing on you and being comfortable being yourself. And so it's called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Okay.
And
I like it.
It's a high recommendation for me.
Sounds good. I'll check it out. Yeah. Where do I watch it?
I watch it on Crunchyroll. I don't know where else it is because that's where I watch it. It's been dubbed. At least the first season has been dubbed. I know that.
That's a feather in the cap for me.
Feather in the cap for you. Recently at the anime, one of the reasons I went through this so fast was at the last anime convention I went to. The voice actresses for Toru and Kobayashi were there.
Cool.
And my brother really likes this show. He actually got me into it. And so he wanted to go to that panel. And I was like, shit, I better watch as much of this before the panel. I don't want something spoiled.
Right.
But the nice thing is they've so far only done the first season and they're working on season 2. So nothing was spoiled for me. But it seems to be a high caliber dub. And like I said, it's feel good.
Yeah.
It's just feel good.
Man, thank you for saving my life. What can I do? Well, there has been a environmental nuclear meltdown disaster in the last decade.
Yeah.
Strife, poverty, global unrest, and the oceans are literally burning. You can be my maid.
She's drunk. She is drunk. She's drunk as a skunk.
Be my maid.
And
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not? That's okay.
So she's not thinking
that's fine.
Big picture. She's thinking very carnalistically in that moment.
Fix all that shit.
And at first she obviously
be my maid.
And I don't know if the dragons
you don't have to define it.
The dragons are supernatural, but I don't know if they're so omnipowerful that they could handle that stuff. But she can be a maid.
Yeah.
She can handle
totally.
That. Very cute. There's this other dragon he hates humans and he comes to Earth to find out what's going on. And someone has him start playing a video game and he becomes absolutely addicted to video games. And so he moves in with Kobayashi's coworker, who's this guy who's just like a closet otaku. And just like, if he's not at work, he's playing video games. And they form their bond just by 24-hour video games all the time.
Wow.
Like that's their relationship, but they truly care about each other, and not just through the video games, but through.
You can bond with someone over video games,
and it's really cute to see this character who's been so dark and menacing and slowly crack and slowly warm up a little bit, but only in the realm of like I'm doing this for my video games.
Right.
That's funny, and it's funny too because he's a hoarder, because he's a dragon and he hoards treasure. So that's what he likes about video games is that he can hoard all the digital items. Which I was like, okay, I get that.
That's you.
I'm on track with that one.
Yeah.
So, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
All right, I'll check it out. Sketch. I think I have talked about the comic Y the Last Man before.
Yes,
the
you
Vertigo
have.
comic. It has recently been turned into a live action series on FX. I watch it on Hulu. They are 6 episodes in so far. It is a slow burn.
Nothing wrong with slow burn.
It's a slow burn so far. It is very, very different than the comic in important ways. I think they've updated it well. I will say I think it suffers from taking place in a post The Walking Dead world.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a lot of the same pacing, even though it's a different production team. I am cautiously enjoying it, but I am enjoying what I'm seeing so far. And Y the Last Man is the story of Yorick Brown and his helper monkey, his capuchin monkey, Ampersand.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the last.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
where Ampersand's name came from.
That's fun.
But I read that over a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure like every pet in the world is going to be named Ampersand now. Yeah. And so they are the last 2 living males on planet Earth of any species. So there is a biocontagion overnight kills every biologically male person on the planet, or not even person, biologically male organism entity on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Planes fall out of the sky, massive pileups, power grid goes down. Like you think it happens. And it is the story of how to undo this. It is a world populated with amazing characters. And what I love about this universe is that the future of our species, because without a Y chromosome, humanity dies.
Yep.
Like everything dies.
Yeah.
The future of existence hinges on Yorick, who is named after a dead clown.
Oh.
So, like, Yorick, I knew him, a fellow of infinite jest and merriment. That should tell you something about who Yorick is as a person and how absolutely terrified you should be that humanity is hinged upon him.
And so it's him and his dog.
Him and his capuchin monkey.
Capuchin monkey, sorry.
Yes.
So
and a host of other characters that they will eventually put together in a team.
Right.
But the other main character is a mysterious character who we only know by a number.
Yeah.
Agent 355.
Okay.
Who has an amazing backstory that I will not spoil.
But these 2, they're the last 2 males.
They're the last
of any
2
species.
Of every species.
Of every species. So humans and capuchin monkeys have a chance of continuing on, but everything else is
fucked.
Okay.
Yep. So no bees. No.
I hope people 100 years in the future really like capuchin monkey meat.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of it.
No cows.
We got a simian slicer on our geeking out Swiss Army knife, though. That come in very handy.
Yeah. And it's, it's what a journey the book was. And I wanted to go back and reread it before I started watching the show, but I also didn't want anything to be spoiled. And it's a real slow burn. And there's a lot of things I'm not enjoying, but I am going to recommend it because I think it's an important story to tell. I think it's a really cool show because, it is a world populated by women, all walks, types, varieties of women. And it's such an interesting experience to watch a show where the majority of the cast doesn't look like, act like, talk like me. I don't see myself reflected in the 99%. And what an interesting experience is to watch that and just for a moment be like, oh, this is what the majority of the rest of the world feels like every time they turn on their television or like listen to music. It's in a different language. It's with people that don't look like them. It's like 12 guys and 1 chick. Like how many times do you go to something and like not see yourself represented somehow? They're an artist. They're like muscle cars. They like the whatever you are into. If you are, if you are biologically male, raised in Western society, you're going to find something, which is not true of the majority of the planet.
Yeah.
So it's, I think I'm not crazy about what I'm seeing in the show all the time, but it's so interesting to watch the show on so many levels.
There you go.
And it's really well done. It's well produced. So it's gonna go the distance.
Very good.
So I think it's gonna get better with, as we approach the end of the season, and it's already been picked up for season 2. So I feel it's got legs.
Yeah. Very good. Nice.
So why The Last Man?
You can watch it on Hulu.
And then that is the question. Why is York the last man?
Yeah.
And ampersand the last.
Yeah. And I would imagine that's a big mystery they're working towards.
And what's a nice, I'll just say, like an interesting update for 2021 is that there are still men in the world, but they don't have a Y chromosome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it really explores did you know that there are women with Y chromosomes just dormant? Like I didn't. Well, they dropped dead too, and like they're trying to figure that out. And it's
anything with Y,
anything with a Y chromosome dies.
Interesting.
Instantly, violently.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Violently.
Something so small.
So something so inconsequential, like random.
Yeah.
Happenstance.
Became consequential.
Yes, very. So why The Last Man?
Cool.
Yeah. Sketch, you gonna take anything from this episode?
Yes.
What are you taking?
I am taking this back scratcher.
That
it's cooled off in the slag.
That is
shaped like a thumbs up.
I believe
and
that
it just hits the spot just right between the blades.
That's a back scratcher, but you enjoy that?
Oh, it's like 3 inches right below the blades, and it's perfect.
I mean, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm putting it right on the nightstand. This one's not going on the mantle. I'm using this one at
there
night.
You go.
Just to unwind, just right down the center of the back. Just perfect.
It's the perfect length.
Yeah, it's almost like an extension to my arm.
Hey.
Yeah. How about you? You taking anything?
Well, I've got an addition for the garage. I am taking this 1992 Titan motorcycle.
That's the Judgment Day one?
Yeah.
Oh, such a good. So badass. You got to work on your one-handed shotgun.
I do.
Reloading.
I got to go find my Ray-Ban Predators.
Yeah.
And a leather jacket.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Is the reason he didn't put the sunglasses on in 6 because he knew he wasn't coming back? Remember, he picks them up, looks at them, and puts it back down.
Well, I think it's because he's grown.
Or he's not hiding who he is.
He's not. Yeah.
The sunglasses were to hide who he was.
The sunglasses, I think, were particularly in the first movie.
In the first movie,
he puts them on. It's to cover the eye.
Yeah.
And
in the second movie,
he just takes them to be cool.
I like these.
Yeah. And then in the third
movie, it's
the
big,
sixth
flash-y.
The third,
John
yeah.
Because
the bar has turned into
because it's funny.
Yeah, is it?
Well,
anyway,
we'll talk about that off mic.
Yeah, and doesn't he say
talk to
the hand? Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, in 6 he picks up the glasses and puts them down. I think it's because he's not a killer. He's not a Terminator. He's grown a conscience, and that's not. I think it's a rejection of the role.
Yeah, and that's why you wear sunglasses.
Yeah, totally.
You're still a killer.
Still a killer.
Yeah, and always you're embracing the role.
Yeah, always. Yeah. That's me,
guys. Happy New Year! Thanks for joining us for another year of geeking out.
Yeah,
we hope you have a Sarah Connor 2022.
Yeah,
hit the ground like running with perseverance and would you say she has gusto?
Oh, yeah.
A little gumption.
It's moxie.
All the great G's.
Gravitas.
Yeah. There's truly, after the last 2 years that we've had, there's no one you want to go into 2022 more than
Sarah Connor. Because she's whatever 2022 throws at you, you're coming out the other side.
Yeah. You're going to kick its ass.
Yeah.
Well, one way or another, you're coming through on the other side.
You are.
So so thanks for joining us. Thanks for another great year.
And if you want to continue the conversation, here are thoughts of the other
3, 4, and
installments.
5.
You can join us over on our Patreon.
Where we're going to talk off mic.
On mic.
Yeah. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Bangarang.
If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at patreon.com/shadesansketch.
Our website is shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesandsketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved.
2022.